Hey guys, it's Andre from the High Performance Academy. We're here with Tom Nelson from Nelson Racing Engines. Now Tom's really well known for producing some of the most badass high horsepower twin turbo street cars around. They're all over YouTube. Everyone's seen them and we really love his style. So Tom, we're here to talk about your 68 Charger and we want to know a little bit about what makes it tick. So I guess if we can start with the power plant, that's obviously the most important part. Talk us through that engine and what makes it tick.
Well, I mean, it's an all-alloy 572 Hemi, so it's all aluminum. We've twin turbocharged it, and over the years, it's a package that we developed. So we've done, 50 odd of these twin turbo Hemis. So this motor is something that you'll be able to drive anywhere you want. It's neat. It's got a fully all billet valve cover. So we made it, CNC machine the cover from stock. And then we put the coil wires in, and then we have a coil wire cover that the wires come out the back, so you don't even see the spark plug wires. Intake's got a new billet intake design where we've done all sorts of drilled orifices, really thin in the back of the manifold for firewall clearance, and came and took the regulators out at 45 degrees each on both sides. But it's all drilled orifices with O-ring ports, so it boost references. And it's slick. When you see it, you really like it. It's got twin water-to-air intercoolers. It's got a heat exchanger for those intercoolers. It's got our classic anteater snout with dual blow-off valves. And it's just something it's probably one of the sexiest, badass-looking motors. We anodized it all black and then shaved off with like stainless accents and nickel and stuff.
Let's just talk a little bit about that sort of street rod style, the real smooth, sort of no wiring, everything's hidden. Obviously, we're in the modern day with EFI, which you've embraced fully. How much harder has that made your job trying to get rid of all of these wires and trying to make the engine bay look so smooth and clean?
Well, I think that's always been my deal. I think that's why I've kind of, you look at my stuff, it doesn't look like it runs. Like we have hidden throttle linkage and hidden wires, and all the injectors are hidden on the inside, and the wiring harness, the whole harness comes out of a single Deutsch going into a bulkhead, and there's no hard lines going in for boost referencing and everything. So it's a challenge to do that, but it's neat. It's a pain in the ass to work on. Like for a race car, it sucks, but for a street car where you're never touching it, I mean, there's nothing sexier than that. It doesn't look like it runs. It's simple. Anytime you can make it really good and be simple, I think you're doing good.
Let's talk about power. So you've got twin turbos there, 572 cubic inches. It's running on pump fuel. What sort of power is it producing?
It makes about 1,200 horse in pump. It'll make a peak of 2,000 horse on race gas. And it's got something what I call NRE octane on demand. So it runs on 8 injectors. It has its own separate fuel system for those 8 injectors. And then once it gets to like 130 kPa, I start transitioning a second injector in, which feeds out of a race gas cell. And that, once it's at like above 14 pounds, I've got the secondary injector 50-50 mixed with the primary injector. So you get a 91-116 octane mix. And then you get even that much more horsepower. But if you want to just go straight race, you just put straight 116 in it, and you'll make your 2,000 horsepower out of that.
That's a really novel approach to making power on a street engine. When we're normally limited to pump fuel, I really like that idea. It's great. So if you were running pure race fuel and you really wanted to lean on this thing, you say 2,000 horsepower is achievable?
Yeah, that's when the tongue's hanging out. I mean, we can put 88 millimeter turbocharger, and it's going to make a hell of a lot more, 2,600. But this is a street car, so it's got 72 millimeter turbochargers on it. So at $2,000, that turbo's all done. It's 36 pounds going like this. But it doesn't matter in a street car. You're never going to be able to use that. But people like to claim that, so that's good.
Let's talk tractability, drivability, emissions, fuel economy. We've got a street car. It's not an all-out race car. What do you need to consider to make it streetable?
Well, I think I like to call it smiles per gallon, not miles per gallon, right? So we're not really making. I mean, here's the thing: we run 2 small injectors, so we can get a really good spray pattern, and we can get good start, and we can get reasonable mileage. But we're still talking about a 2,000 horsepower engine, right? So if your foot's in it, you're going to get dog shit for mileage, 1 mile per gallon. If your foot's out of it and you got an overdrive, on a car like that Charger, it's a big car, 12, 13 miles at a gallon or something, right? So it'll get what my truck does, But it's not a mileage machine. It's a smile machine,
And no one's going to be building a 1600 horsepower street car and be worrying about fuel economy. Okay, let's move on to the electronic side of things. What have you actually got controlling this engine?
We've always used the electromotive, and I've just had a super awesome relationship with those guys. As a matter of fact, we're actually showing off their new electromotive unit here, their beta prototype. So I use electromotive. I have fantastic luck with it. We're doing all sorts of remote tuning with that now. I tune people all over the world from my chair in my office, and yeah, they're great. I think their ignition circuit is it's unlike any other company's ignition circuit. We've noticed a 50% increase in bearing life when we started using it. So there's all sorts of misfires that you can't hear or see that are happening, is what my theory is, that the electromotive takes away.
Okay. Let's look at the drivetrain now. So what have you got backing up that monster engine, and how do you make it hold together?
Well, on the street, it's a compromise. So we've got a 35 spline S-track locker, 9-inch, big housing 9-inch, and we've braced the back and triangulated shock mounts and stuff like that. But that is for the street. You won't hurt it on the street. At the track, you ultimately, if you're slicking it up, you're going to hurt it. And that's what we have, a pro gear with a 40 spline and everything for when he wants to go to the track.
And if you did want to take the car to the track, what sort of times could you expect it to run with a decent slick on the back of it?
It is a stick car, so it's going to be a handful, but I fully expect it to go in the 8s, no question,
That's pretty amazing for something that you can drive to and from the track.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and the mile an hour of that car is like 170 mile an hour and a quarter, it's just crazy mile an hour, but it's stick car, so you're just driving the thing everywhere, but it's a ride,
Yeah, definitely would be. Hey, look, Tom, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today. It's an amazing car, and you've done a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For online tuning courses, visit learntotune.com.